So do you think it was a red card?
Against Reece?
Against Reece.
I thought it was very harsh.
It looked harsh in real time, didn't it?
Well, what boggled my mind was that the referee, he went to the VAR screen and it's kind of the image still of it hitting his arm. And I was just like, oh, mate, you need to watch that back in real time because that hits his leg first.
And just really, how quickly, like, he looked at it, well, he kind of just glanced, and then 2 seconds later, he's heading back over, penalty, red card, completely changed the game, which I thought, up until that point, was actually really, really good. I thought it was a really good game. Two drastically different halves in terms of what we could kind of see from them, but who did you kind of want to see? Who you thought came out of that looking a bit more like an actual challenger? So obviously we've kind of come in cold here, but we're talking about the Liverpool Chelsea game from Saturday, and probably the first test really of the 4 we're expecting, the big test, the ones we're expecting to really do well this year. Who do you think came out looking the best, like the better side?
And 90 minutes, Chelsea. Because there's a period in the second half, and I thought, oh my God, Liverpool going to tear these guys in your asshole here. And for Chelsea
to kind of 15 minutes of the second half, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and for Chelsea to kind of just weather that storm, and bear in mind that's a pretty fucking heavy storm. You know, Liverpool's attack when it's on top is fantastic to watch, but they just hung in there. You know, Tuchel made the right calls for the subs. I thought they were really good substitutions. Also bringing on
Kovacic in particular. I mean, Thiago kind of showed it up at the back, but Kovacic could hold it, move into a bit of space, and then advance it. He linked up play really well.
That's what he does best. He holds the ball so well and runs with the ball so well, takes it forward. And yeah, they just grew into the game, Chelsea. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, you know, they were limited up top, obviously, after these sending off and just because of how Liverpool were coming at them. But no, I thought Chelsea, I was like, these are the games you dig in and you don't lose, and that's what champions do. That's the kind of vibe I got from them there.
I thought it was quite scary, to be honest, from a Chelsea title challenge standpoint, because in the first half, I thought Liverpool had the game kind of where they needed it to be. Okay, I don't think they were the better team in the first half, but it was quite close, and I thought the game suited them a lot more, with space to counter. Trent and Salah were linking up nicely on the right. Thought Harvey Elliott performed really well, but sort of unbalanced them a little bit in the middle. But yeah, as the game kind of progressed, I think Chelsea just showed that, okay, a decision's gone against them, and they're absolutely up against it. And they didn't really. I don't know if at any point in the second half I thought Liverpool really created that much. Really looked like they would get the winner. I thought Chelsea looked like they were more likely to just, break in behind and steal one and steal the 3 points, and I thought they could have done.
They could have done. I think a few times they were just trying to send Lukaku first time, and that was just not going to work. I think Mount got a bit overexcited a few times, trying pinging it through, but Lukaku's like, I have not gone.
Mount was poor, wasn't he, advancing the ball in the second half? I don't think it really showed him in his best light. But I thought Alonso was fantastic going forward on that left side, as was Kovacic. Jorginho and Kante created a screen that they found it really, like, Liverpool had so much of the ball and were just passing it easily across the back line without ever really making anything incisive, where I thought, oh, here we go. Salah was bright and, again, played well, but
I don't think he had enough of it second half. And one of the commentators made a good point of, he was like, Trent's constantly to Salah's left. He's in the middle, and he should be going on the overlap, creating a bit more space.
They had it in the first half, and they didn't in the second, and it really showed.
Yeah, because I thought Trent played really well. I thought he was one of Liverpool's best players that game. It was fantastic.
Had a really good start to the season.
Yeah, but the second half I thought he could have done a bit more. And that's not a criticism at all, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a huge point for Chelsea. I texted you out right after that game saying massive point for Chelsea. I couldn't believe it. But like I said, that's what champions do. They get these results, they grind them out.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's scary in a sense because I just think they've clearly got it going forward and they will tear through some teams. But the teams that win the titles are the ones that can, when it's not going for them, when, you know, your key players don't turn up for a game or two, which will happen a few times across the season, they just won't be at it. And I don't think Lukaku was at it. Whilst he wasn't poor, he didn't really, you know, after how much he was the reason Arsenal got so embarrassed by Chelsea. He really struggled against Van Dijk and Matip. Credit to them too. I thought they handled him really well between them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was tough ask anyway, coming up against Van Dijk, isn't it? But I thought Lukaku would have given him a bit more, and I'm sure he would have, you know, if the circumstances were a bit more, balanced, shall we say, after he's sending off. But yeah, he'll come up against other opposition that are half as good as Van Dijk. Anyway, boss it
and tear through them. But the fact that they can sit in and just be horrible to play against and still threaten on the counter in moments, that'll bode really well for their season when they come up against it.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, their squad depth is probably unrivaled in the Prem. Because if we can do that, we could bring on like Matic and maybe.
I still think that their squad depth is beneath City's. I still think that we've got two squads one squad that definitely wins the Prem most seasons, and another one that definitely finishes top four, I think, most seasons. So I don't think Chelsea have that second side. I think they've got a side that can absolutely win the title, but they don't have a second side to push them. But saying that, that's, you know, City are in an incredibly lucky position to be that, and Chelsea aren't really far away. You know, they don't have a backup striking option, I don't think. And whilst they are stacked at the back, they're midfield options that can come in. I don't think even Tuchel thinks he's got enough in midfield at the moment, hence all the links with Saul. And I know Chalobah's come in and kind of helped the numbers situation in the middle. But in terms of top quality, like, it's a big drop down from Kante and Jorginho.
Yeah,
to the next two.
Good point. I mean, looking at Jorginho, he's so good. He's so good. I probably get one of the few rival fans quick to hate on him. But no, I've got a newfound respect for that man.
For Jorginho?
Yeah, so clever.
Yeah, I think he has. He when you do. This is the great thing about doing this podcast, by the way, I think, because when I watch him every now and then, or I watch highlights, Jorginho really annoys me. But in a similar way as I now view Henderson, I kind of viewed Henderson that way anyway, because obviously I watch him for England and I've watched a lot more Liverpool games. But Jorginho, I just didn't seem to have watched him that much. And the main thing I remember about him was when he first came and how unsuccessful he was in that role. But both Henderson and Jorginho are ridiculously clever players in that middle of the park. Just press resistance, set the tempo, move it on nicely, and just keep things ticking over. Yeah, I agree with you. Newfound respect, especially for Jorginho. Definitely. Oh, and just to make the point about midfield, our two probably most exciting midfielders are currently out. So City's depth is unrivaled, I believe. Because Kevin Foden's coming to that team.
I mean, yeah, you're a bit, I don't know. It's like the top. You're not top heavy because your defense is pretty good-ish. You know, you could do better. I mean, you could do better on Zinchenko. There are upgrades to be had, probably, but you just suit your squad down to a T.
I think when you look at the fullback options, I think Zinchenko is really, really solid and just provides a calming base. I think Cancelo operates in a very progressive way. So when we can go to almost a back two, I think Cancelo gives a very good option, especially because he played both sides. And I think Walker, even though we'll come to this after, and I thought he had a poor game, Walker's still one of the best right backs in the league, if not in the world. And I think the way we play as well means that you have people in those positions that can just be more attacking, a bit freer. And as long as you have got a central partnership like Diaz and Stones were last year, it could be Laporte and Diaz. That is the way that he started the season, it seems like, since Ake's dropped. But I think you've got a lot of options in there. So I don't worry too much. And Fernandinho can always play everywhere, no matter what his age is.
I think it's on the way out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's more obvious than ever. I mean, not, last season it wasn't a thing because obviously you were steamrolling opponents, but first couple of games I'm like, this probably is swan song.
I think he was fantastic in all the games until we lost the second game to Chelsea in that run of 3 at the end. I think he was fantastic up to that point. He didn't actually start in the final. Yeah, which I was, as you will remember, I was devastated about, because I just think he's different class. Even if his mobility is nowhere near the same, he's still very, very intelligent player, and you have to have one in there. Look, Rodri's doing a very, very good job, but I've taken it straight over to City, haven't I? So before we get onto the City game, any other thoughts on the Chelsea Liverpool performance? I mean, very happy that they both took a point. That, okay, it's early doors, but we both needed them to not be at the top, because Spurs being at the top is irrelevant. But one of those being at the top and that mentality coming out of the international break, thinking we're top, you don't want anyone to have
that. Yeah, I guess so.
Or am I putting too much stock into that? Does it not matter at this point?
I don't think it matters too much at this point. But momentum's momentum at the end of the day. So
8 to 10 games, isn't it? That's when it's usually a bit more of an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, but even saying that, like I said, at the end of 90 minutes, I thought, wow, Chelsea have showed a lot of fucking cojones here. So yeah.
I put in the notes that I think they have shown that they are the absolute closest to City in terms of putting together a title-winning campaign. I think that really, really did show it. So yeah, on to City. I did want to actually just quickly check what you thought about the Champions League draw on Thursday. With your group?
I'm very happy with my group. Like I said, as soon as I saw us drawn with Villarreal, I was like, revenge it is. So I'm hoping we absolutely put a few past them in the group stages. I think it'll be easier to do so over 2 legs rather than the final, because finals can be dodgy. Finals always banana skin. Nothing's ever written.
Especially against Villarreal.
As you know. Yes. Yeah.
Well, especially against Unai Emery.
Yeah. God.
Also Villarreal. Yeah, that's a good group for you. Villarreal yourselves, Atlanta, and Young Boys. I think you can kind of come out of that with a bit of confidence, ease your way into the season. And I think, I'll make this point probably in greater detail when we come to the United game, but I do think this United team, when it gets into a kind of bit of momentum and a good bit of form and things settle down, I think you're going to start ticking teams off, and that's a very good opportunity to do that with that group. There's a few rematches actually in the group stages of recent high-profile matches, because we've got Atletico Liverpool, and City PSG, which they'll be absolutely desperate to right that wrong. And Messi Pep, that's quite a nice little narrative, isn't it, to have so early in the season? I think you said that's a difficult group. I think it's not I don't think it's an easy group by any means. But
yeah, I think it's a tough group. I mean, I did say to you, I think Nagelsmann not being at Red Bull Leipzig weakens them. I think they're losing Sabitzer today to Bayern, so I think they're considerably worse off. I think you should still be absolutely fine. You should beat these teams, but like I said, with Liverpool's group, the potential's there. There's so many banana skins. Oh my god! But not so much with you, obviously, because PSG is absolutely overwhelming firepower as you think it would be. But no, but you should. I mean, first or second, I don't see it screwing up at all.
I actually think we come out of this group first, but I still think that Leipzig have a strong team. They've got who they play. They played I think with Stuttgart a couple of weeks ago, and beat them 4-0, and looked really good. But yes, we should be beating Leipzig, Club Brugge, and then I said to you before, didn't I? As long as them PSG games aren't games 3 and 4, because you always put 3 and 4 are always the same opponents. Match day 3 and 4. So as long as those two aren't PSG, I'll be really happy going into that group. I won't be devastated, obviously, if that's the way the fixtures come out, and they probably have come out already, to be fair, so I can probably just check that. But yeah, I'm confident in that group because we play them second, match day 2 and match day 4. Yeah, that's fine. Or 5, whatever. Anyway, happy with that. Both City and United should be, I think, coming out of that quite strong in first.
If we don't progress, if we drop down into Europa League, I'd be seriously worried.
That'd be embarrassing. If you drop into the Europa League, then you're top. At that point, I think top 4 would be difficult for you. I think they would go hand in hand. I don't think that'll happen.
No,
I don't think you'll be dropping into Europa at all. I think you'll be fine.
That hypothetical is just, it doesn't bear thinking about.
You'll just get banged out in the round of 16. Honestly, that round of 16 is going to be tasty. I look at some of these teams now, and I just think each year I look at it and think there's another 1 or 2 teams that kind of have snuck into that next bracket of quality. And
I was looking at. Yeah. I was looking at pot 2, all the teams in pot 2. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. Liverpool, there's no guarantee on Liverpool getting out of that. They should, and they could. Sorry, the other way around. They could, and they should. But I think they'll find it difficult. I think they'll find it very difficult because Atletico, Porto, and Milan. That's the group of death, isn't it, this year?
Yeah, I think this is one group I felt sorry for. I'm sure it was like Barca, Bayern.
Benfica.
Could have been. Yeah. I thought, that's.
Yeah. No hope.
No.
Well, you never know. Barca scraped 2-1, I think it was yesterday. But La Liga looks a little bit weird after 3 games. You've got like 5 or 6 teams on 7 points. Just to make the point that I do keep up with La Liga now. Running theme from episode 1 when I didn't know who won the league title last year.
Yeah. How's the Ukrainian league looking like?
Ukrainian league's a bit difficult at the moment, mate.
Why?
Well, I'm kind of hoping. I'm not hoping actually that there's a lockdown, but I'm thinking there might be some kind of like issue with them playing games. No, there isn't. There's no issue with them playing games. Talking nonsense. I'll come back to you on that one. I can't see the table. I'm sure everything's going great, and I'm sure that Dynamo Kiev and Shakhtar Donetsk are leading the way with 16 and 13 points respectively.
Wow, you pulled that star out your ass.
Well, I pulled the table out my ass there. So, Arsenal City. What is there to say, really, about it? Because I'm pretty sure you can just insert a segment from last week's predictions in here. And apart from the scoreline, where we predicted 3-0, I think we'd be spot on.
I was saying to us, was it 2-0 after 15 minutes? And I said to myself, as did everyone with a pair of eyes, City aren't even trying. just let them not even trying yet. No. Oh my God, just getting started. Oh my God.
I think that first goal, I will give Arsenal a bit of credit. They had, in the first 5 minutes, their only shot of the game. And they started well. And I mean that without any banter. Obviously, it was 5 minutes, so it's irrelevant. But they started like they were just going to carry on straight from the cup game when they won 6-0. And it was season changing. But what actually happened was they left massive gaps in the middle of the park. They didn't have any fluidity. And the centre halves just decided to... I can't even think of any way to describe how poor, Rob Holding in particular, but that defensive line was so weak. The fact that... I criticised Burnley the other week for allowing Jota a load of space and time just in between the centre halves and Shimikas just pinging a ball into him, header, goal.
Yeah.
The fact that Rob Holding misses that fucking header in his 6-yard box and Gundogan's there, sneaking in, 5'8" or whatever he is, and then puts it in is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, and it was just a sign of things to come.
Yeah, it was very ominous, wasn't it? And like you said, they had a little small period where they were kind of playing well. I thought it was a bold choice. Yeah, I thought it was a bold choice to play both Smith Rowe and Odegaard. I know they did it last season, but I was like, you gotta get to one part because Odegaard he doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to track back, and but that's not where their problems are. Like you said, the centre backs. To see Kolasinac start, I was like, I can't remember the last time I saw this guy in a red shirt. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I saw a stat around the game that said, I think it was either 7 or 8 of the 11 players that started were all players under Wenger. So there was this they were meant to have this clear out, weren't they? And Kolasinac absolutely is part of that. You can lump all them centre halves in there and left backs and right backs. To be honest, you can get rid of all of them apart from Tierney, because there's no one in there that looks assured. There's no one in there that commands their area, and it was just easy in behind. Ferran Torres, I think, has been really good. His movement has been really, really good in the first 2 games. Even though he hasn't scored, I think he's really stretched teams. And I said last week that I think the problem for Arsenal against us will be the movement and the interplay. People switching positions and kind of dragging defences around. And so it proved to be, because Torres, like Gundogan, should not be winning that header. Rob Holding, again, is culpable for that. The 5th goal, that one is. Just dominated in the air again. If we thought Ivan Toney did a really good job in the first game for Brentford in dominating in the air, Lukaku, you expected from,
and that was with Arsenal's £50 million man that they're missing.
With him, yeah. And then they tried a different pairing, had to, for the Chelsea game. Lukaku, who you expect to dominate Arsenal's backline, did. Now you don't expect City to be able to do that in really dominate. And whilst it wasn't a physical battle, it was just intelligence, and Arsenal have none in the back line. I think Smith Rowe and Odegaard, not against City, give them quite a bit of creativity in the middle of the park, and that is going to help them against teams that sit in. But against us, you need to put 2 people that are going to break on the counter, and everyone else needs to sit in and create a really difficult shape to break down.
Exactly. I think every time, well, obviously not every time, but there's a few times where Odegaard and Smith Rowe both guilty of it. Literally, they'd maybe seize the ball in the middle and pocket picked. Like literally every. I will sound Bernardo Silva out because I thought he was phenomenal. I thought
he was brilliant, and something I really enjoyed about Bernardo. So just to go back to the conversation we had the other week again, discussing Gundogan and his effect on this team. And I'm quite critical of Gundogan because I think that the player we got last season and the player we saw at Dortmund prior to obviously coming to City, does not show up enough for City at all. Like in the seasons before that, he was very much just kind of linking up play and yes, controlling tempo, but not really affecting games in the final third. Last season we saw that. And with Bernardo Silva just buzzing around in the middle, with Rodri, who I think it was something like 9 recoveries in the game of possession.
Mm-hmm.
With that midfield, Gundogan could just roam forward. And with the absence of Kevin Foden, I thought Gundogan in that role was really, really good today. But because of Bernardo's work rate. I thought Bernardo kind of gave them Rodri gave them the platform because he was winning the ball back and recycling possession and then just moving it on. But Bernardo was everywhere, especially in the first half.
Oh, so mate, if I was you, I'd be absolutely gutted if he left. I'd be absolutely gutted. But
you know how I feel about Bernardo.
Yeah,
that man.
But obviously you've got Phil who can do that role, if not better than him, which is mad to think.
So I think that just to pick that up quickly with the Foden and Silva bit, I think whilst I agree in terms of their effectiveness on like the people around them, I think what Bernardo can do in that middle of the park just gives you a bit more calm. Foden gives you excitement because you think he's going to turn it on and go. Bernardo just keeps things going, which against Arsenal yesterday was absolutely the way we needed to play. Okay, to bring the point back to when you're playing a different type of team who want to sit in, I think Foden then becomes the player that you want in that position. Or even Gundogan drops over to the other side and then Foden in Kev's absence. But yeah, it's quite nice to have to be spoiled in such a way. And there's a few selection headaches because I think that if you play Mahrez, for example, you don't play Bernardo as well.
No,
in that role.
I get that. What did you think of? Sorry to interrupt, but what did you think of Raheem's cameo?
I mean, the frustrating thing with the second half was that I was working at the same time, so I didn't get to watch it with any in depth. I have watched the highlights of the second half again, extended highlights to catch a bit, but Sterling looked bright and he looked like he was going to create a few chances, didn't he? Because he got into the box quite well on the left. Didn't see anything that I thought, here's Raheem Sterling back to his best, but that's fine. Why did you have any opinions on him?
No, I just thought he had a great chance one-on-one.
He did, didn't he? And Leno saved it.
Yeah, I forgot who threw it to him, but I thought he should have scored that. There's a few crosses he got on the end of. I think he was frustrated. I love Diaz's reactions to nearly getting on the end of crosses and just like hammering the ground. That's I love that mentality. But with Raheem, I just thought, is he going to be happy coming off the bench like this? Because he is literally second fiddle to Grealish immediately, who was a bit quiet. He didn't have too much to do, Grealish, apart from obviously that assist was incredible. Like, just because you just saw it coming from a mile away. He's like, he's just going to cut it in, square it.
Yeah.
And then Jesus.
The way he drove in and Jesus' calmness, because even though he's on the floor finishing that, the touch to kill it and just put it in front of him. Yeah, no, that was really good. That was a really good goal. Was that from Cancelo driving forward?
I think so. That was going to be another name in the glorious hat because I thought Cancelo was really good.
When he switched over to when Zinchenko came on and Cancelo switched over and then ended up roaming around, I thought that gave a lot more balance. That Walker was quite poor actually, and just as much as Edison, very much to blame for how we were really weird for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes in that first half, just holding the ball and doing nothing.
I was going to say that Smith Rowe closing down because he literally saw the best and worst of Edison that game. He's like, come and get it, and I'll just spring it out.
I'm all for the risk approach. I love it. I'm absolutely on board with it. But when he's just going to stand there and not even play it and then receive it back in a difficult position and then create the space in the middle, it concerned me. And not because I thought, even if Smith Rowe's goal goes in still, and even if they don't get Granit Xhaka, even if Granit Xhaka doesn't get himself sent off with a ridiculous challenge, we still smash Arsenal. Like, that doesn't matter. But what would have concerned me is if we were slow and ploddy and devoid of ideas, which is what it looked like for about 20 minutes, because there was a couple of times we played it to Walker, took some bad touches, lost it, which I think is how Arsenal got their one chance, their one shot, and it just wasn't sticking to anyone. Walker came off, Pep must have roasted Ederson for what he was doing. And in the second half, it was a world apart. It was, it's Arsenal, and they give you all that space. Because look at the space that they had in the middle for when Rodri turns and just has just open field in front of him. There's no one anywhere near him. It was a very improved second half that gives me quite a lot of confidence now that after a few more weeks, I think we'll start to see City kick on a bit, and it has to be earlier than we kicked on last season.
Did you hear what Pep said after the game? Because I think they asked him about Mikel.
He's a great manager.
Along the lines of, should he be given time to turn this around? Do you see Mikel being the man to do that? Or do you think this is literally going to be the season of hell for Arsenal?
So I made a note about like when do they kind of cut the cord? And I had a look at the fixtures they've got. I think we looked at it last week and briefly chatted about it. But they've got Norwich, Burnley, Spurs, Brighton, Palace, Villa. That's their next 6 fixtures after I think they've got Wimbledon in there as well, Cup game. But that's the next 6 league fixtures after the international break. They've got to hope that their COVID problems kind of go away, that anyone that's injured comes back, and that they get a full strength squad ready, because they need to get a minimum of 10, 11 points out of those 6. Because
I think even saying the names Brighton and Villa, I was like, those are hard games.
Burnley's a hard game. Burnley's a really hard game for Norwich.
Because like Chris would have kicked 7 shit out.
Arsenal. 100%. I think Spurs will be really difficult to play against. Brighton, if they can keep the momentum going. Palace, I mean, we don't know. I haven't watched Palace play yet this season, but they look like they're difficult to play against, and they look like they're taking things on quite quickly. Like they did before.
Vieira will definitely want to make a statement when he gets Arsenal.
Yeah.
I was going to say their line. So let's just take Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Literally, I was like, where is he? When he got subbed off, I was like, I can't believe he was still on the pitch. I was like, honestly, I haven't seen him. And I think there was a 10-minute period, and I couldn't believe it. 10-minute period of possession stats, you had 97% possession. I was like, what on earth? I mean, obviously, I think Arsenal played a men by then, and that Xhaka rightly got sent off because he's moronic. I think someone called him brain dead on air. I can't remember who it was, but it's disbelief, isn't it? Because I can't believe Arsenal just these same old habits, time and time again.
Every year,
I fear for it
now of this. It's
I fear for
there's no change. You know, you've got these people that are. If you're an Arsenal fan, you've got to feel let down massively by the vast majority of the squad. And Xhaka, I actually don't think it's the most aggressive or the worst challenge I've seen, but it's out of control in the sense of how he approaches it. And you can't do that. You can't find like that. And look at the position on the pitch that it's in anyway. It's not like this man is about to break through and, you know, it's a tight game or this is where the tide could turn. He was out near the bloody touchline, near the throwing. Like, it's just, he'll do it again and again and again. And you've got a lot of players in there that, okay, they don't exhibit their lack of focus or whatever you want to call it. They don't exhibit it in the way that Xhaka does with ill discipline. But you just see their players going missing, or you see them getting too frustrated, losing their heads. It's genuinely embarrassing.
Yeah, because I call it a statement tackle. when like say if you're a bit come up against it and you want to get fucking lads getting roused and galvanized and you put in a big fucking challenge, it's like, come on boys, fucking let's get fucking going, let's get into them.
Take notes from Japhet Tanganga and Davinson Sanchez, because as much as that annoyed me on Sterling, that is how you play that and leave a mark on the person so they go, okay, this happens. And Tanganga did it several times against Sterling. Whereas in that same position on the field, Xhaka's going over there and doesn't know what to do. And I think it was a frustrating day for him because he was in the middle kind of on his own and it didn't look right, as is what happens when you put one man in the middle on his own. I'm sure we'll come to that shortly. But it's. I mean, Arsenal were always going to give us them kind of chances. They were always going to do things that made their own lives difficult, and we're good enough to beat them without them doing that. So it was, high scoreline was very likely. So I can't take too much from the game. In a similar way I can't against Norwich because it's sort of, that's what you kind of expect. But the way we went about it, the fact that Torres is doing so well, Jesus looks really happy, Bernardo coming back in, that makes me quite excited. The fact we did it without Sterling and Mahrez for the vast majority of that game, and Norwich, Mahrez kind of came on, had a cameo in that game. Really good squad, rotation in and out, and got some good players to really come back in and make it even better. Stones, for example. Walker will have way better days than he did today. So it's looking good. I think, you'd love to be top of the table or undefeated after 3 games. Not happy that we dropped them points to Spurs, but
where are
going
you
into the international break, 7th.
Okay.
7th. 10 goals scored, 1 conceded. I feel really good about it because I was really concerned in the Community Shield final and the first game of the season, just because we didn't look at it. We didn't look at it at all, but now a lot more to be confident about.
No, fair play. Fair play.
Oh, by the way, before anyone mentions it, the statues look really weird.
I don't mind a David one. I think, I saw a comment about Vinny's who said he looks like Megamind. And I was like, I can't get that out of my head. It does. That statue looks like Megamind.
I'm not
I mean, I'm not going
to see it.
I mean, they're well-deserved statues. You're going to celebrate 2 players. I'm not getting at your history here. It's a very easy joke to make, and I'm tempted. But you'll look back in, you'll look in like 30, 40, 50 years, and you'll just see the value of those 2 players and what they've done for your club. So I get why it's them too. So,
or it'll become a graveyard of statues because we've gone too hard too early and put too many statues up already.
Well, Kev needs his own fucking car park, doesn't it?
Well, if you look at the current team, that's an interesting question actually that I've not even really thought about with this iteration of the team, because Aguero was the last one to go from that period in time where we kind of rose to the top of the league and did a lot good in that 5-year period. Did a lot of good.
Okay.
With results. So Aguero's the last one to go from that. Who from the current squad do you think is most likely? One. Let's go one. Apart from Kev, sorry.
Oh, apart from Kev, I was going to say it's pretty easy.
Because I feel like Kev is he's done so much already. He's like the transitionary piece of them 2 squads, because he joined at the end of that run, but it still had another season or so, and then he's kind of spearheaded this team.
Probably. I mean, you could have like Kev holding Zinchenko's hand, because Zinchenko's head could be on like a little kid's body. Just
that'd be hilarious.
Hands.
That'd be hilarious.
Or, I mean, weirdly, you'd be like, well, probably Pep. That's.
I don't think. I don't think you can. You can name like a training ground after him or something. Or like
we got
Pep Guardiola way.
Guardiola way. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a really tough question, mate. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's so hard to look past Kev. But what about you? I don't know.
I think the reason I just omitted Kev, as I said then, was because I think he's probably done enough that he will be viewed in a way by City fans when he leaves as one of the most important players we ever signed. Maybe the best whilst in the period of time I've been watching the club. I can't really compare to like players of old when we were actually good in the 60s and stuff, but of the players I've seen play for City, I think he is the best. And then you've got Yaya and David Silva and Aguero and company, but De Bruyne can do it all. And at certain points in his time with us, I think he's been the third best player in the world. So yeah, I think he's already there. In terms of who probably goes next, I mean, Fernandinho has been a wonderful servant, but he almost doesn't have the profile for it.
I know what you mean.
So
to be fair, you're probably looking 10 years and say, "Oh, Foden."
I was going to say, I think that's the one. That's the other one. Like Phil, stays at the club for his entire career. I think he then, his trajectory, whilst anything can happen, what you would look at his trajectory and the projection of that. Sorry, you would think that that's going to be, very, very high. So yeah, maybe when he goes. So maybe it'll be a while before we get any more statues. Fingers crossed. So coming on to our final game, because we only watched 3 games this weekend, both been very, very busy. So you played Wolves today, and you might not want to hear it, but Wolves are a very good side, aren't they?
Well, we played them for about 45 minutes. We hung on to them for about another 45 first half.
Fair assessment.
I couldn't believe what I was watching, to be honest. The first half. Actually, no. Let me get into the starting 11 first. So when I saw, because you texted about him, saw Fred as like the sole presence in holding midfield.
This was concerning immediately.
Well, I was like, yeah, that's that as well. But I was like, oh, here we go, Fred. Now's your time to shine. You go show everyone you can fucking do it by yourself. You're the man. Okay? And then all we got, they're going to social, was rewarded with a horror show for 45 minutes. Usually I defend Fred. Usually. I give him benefit of the doubt, but his performance first half was indefensible.
Do you think there is a slight defence in Pogba's position in the first half? So we talked about Trent and Salah, but Pogba was almost right back. And they were in a line. They just continuously in a line. Pogba at right, Fred in the middle. And then Luke Shaw was the left option, then on the wing. Is that the forgiveness with Fred there? Because no one was really dropping in. I mean, Greenwood dropped in a lot, which I actually thought was to the detriment of your attack. But he eventually started to give a bit of, link-up play with Fred when Fred was receiving it in the middle. The people around Fred didn't help. And I think, said at the start, when we saw the lineup, didn't I? I said, like, Wolves are very counter-based, so that's a bit of a concern. But if you put the players around him in order to support him to lay it off very quickly, I don't think it's as worrying, because you saw glimpses of that when it would then go to Pogba, who would play a first-time ball with really good quality sometimes and nearly create a chance.
Well, to be fair, mate, I know what you're getting at, but I feel like the two either in front of Fred, Bruno and Pogba, I thought they were woeful first half. I thought they were awful. I mean,
I thought Pogba had a terrible game. Yeah,
I thought they were our main creators. Let's be honest. Obviously,
yeah.
Zenka Juniors to do that, but they were so sloppy, and it was like because Wolves was so good and almost like it's like United didn't see it coming. I think United thought they were going to get a much easier game than what they got. And because I think Adama that's probably the best I've ever seen him. without being on the winning side. That's probably one of the best performances I've seen in Adama.
Yeah, I mean, he put 2 in against us a couple of seasons
remember
ago.
that.
But in terms of being on the losing side, I think that's right. He and Trincao, to be fair. I think we discussed this last week, and in our predictions, we were discussing how them two are real threats. Their end product is a concern, and Jimenez isn't up to speed yet, which is what showed here. But with a bit of end product, you'd have been in some serious danger. And they almost got in with Saez, didn't they? Wonderful save by De Gea.
Oh my God. This is one of the best take. To be fair, there's probably 3 great things about today. So I thought Rafael Varane was fantastic. I thought he just showed his class. He was just very composed, doesn't panic, picks the right pass, and got an assist on his debut. Technically, I know, but if you're in a fancy Premier League
does it
player,
count?
then
If it counts,
it does.
If it counts, then it counts.
Yeah. So, I've said the past couple of weeks now. I think Shaw's been poor. I thought he was today, but obviously he was up against Adama, who woke up and shows violence.
He is so strong, and when he decides to just get at someone, it wasn't quite Lukaku on Mari from last week, but at times it was scary how much control he had over anyone that he was kind of pushing himself against. And I really thought in the first half that Trincao was just kind of toying with them. His movement and his little touches of the ball and dribbling through the lines.
He not like Harry Maguire.
That was fantastic, and it just went too far. Otherwise, there's an easy cutback for Jimenez. I think it's Jimenez who gets into the 6-yard box. They created a lot, and
Varane cut that out, I think.
I think just before we get into praise, I think there'll be some praise for United here because it does show you something. But this is the first game I've seen of Wolves this season live. I've watched highlight stuff, but this is the first game I watched, and I thought after looking at the results of the previous games and the highlights, they look really poor. A couple of glimpses, but they look really poor, and I thought, okay, maybe predicting Wolves to be in the top 8 at the start was a mistake. Yeah. But as soon as it clicks for Wolves, I think this side is actually going to take off. I saw a lot of really exciting things going on against your side today.
Yeah, I mean they will play teams that will sit in and won't come at them like that. Maybe that's where they'll come undone a bit. But I completely agree. It's weird to see them. What are they? 18th. Let's see, haven't scored a goal yet. I think
they haven't scored a goal, which is ridiculous.
Going back to what we were saying earlier. It's lucky for us today that they can't hit a barn door.
Do you think part of that is the style change? Because they don't play like the Nuno Wolves. No, they're a lot more attacking. They're a lot more in your face.
Yeah. It must be down to the manager. It must be down his new style of play. Like that was we have not come up against the Wolves like that before. Usually, they sit back, don't they? And they use the base of like Pavlos and Neto and then.
No,
and Neves is playing balls from deep to Jimenez.
He was picking up great positions, but I thought Neves was. I don't think he moved the ball well, but I don't think he was as influential in that game as he could have been because he picked up some great positions, and then sullied himself by whatever he was doing, jumping down and kicking off big time. Yeah, you got caught, but the way you go down is just a bit weird. But
I really like him. I really,
adore him. I actually thought today, to bring it back to the Fred point, I actually thought Neves sitting in your midfield in where Fred is a different story. I think he would be perfect. And I've said to you before that I don't think Neves could do that for you. But the way you played today and the way Neves plays would have worked really well. Would have really suit you.
There'd be loads of United fans that agree with you. But coming back to Fred,
Yeah.
Or it's because I think we were so wasteful. I know, but we were so wasteful, so sloppy. I think he was almost working overtime. I'll give him this. He does get back well. He's like a little bulldog. He is tenacious, but he's just. Ooh,
I can't fault his attitude. I can't fault how hard he tries. There's not a Premier League title winning quality to him.
We can't have him play there by himself.
No,
consistently.
And I don't think McTominay can do it on his own either. That's the thing. That is that constant discussion around McFred is that I don't think either of them can do the one on their own.
I would trust Scott more to do it.
Oh, absolutely. But he likes to get forward too much.
Dynamic. Yeah. It's tough because I was asking myself, well, would I rather play the two of them in a pivot, or would I rather like today? But I don't want another day like today because
you're not going to go 4-4-2. Ronaldo, Cavani up top.
I honestly don't know. It was absolutely stacked now. Ronnie does what he wants, doesn't he?
So with this performance, whilst I don't think it's at the level of Chelsea's performance, I think it shows you a very similar thing. I think it shows you that this team can get over the line, because against Southampton last week, you were devoid of ideas for large parts. Whilst they got at you quite well, they were definitely they're still a team that you should be easily beating. You know, if you want to do anything this season with anything, they're a team you've just got to put to bed and get over it. And yes, you'll get games like this with Wolves where you've got to hang in there and then take your one chance you get. But I thought that coming out of this, the fact that you did get that chance, the fact you did take it, come away with the 3 points in a really difficult game, I think that tells you a lot about the character, especially of Mason Greenwood. Like, big respect to that guy. Is it 3-3? He started the season really, really well, and I don't think he'll get the most game time. I think he'll, rotate in and out, but he's absolute quality.
Yeah. Like I said before, he was one of the shining lights today, as was David De Gea, who, on the back of this early form, you'd think, could he get back to his best? Because he's played really, really well. Like that save from Armstrong isn't as good. It's very important. Obviously, it keeps it at 1-1. But today, we wouldn't have come back for 1-0 down. There was no way. I don't think.
The great thing about the Armstrong save was just how he made it so difficult by his positioning. Armstrong just couldn't really do all, and just didn't didn't hit it well. But I think De Gea's movement and positioning there makes that such a harder opportunity for him. Whereas today it was the reaction side that I think has been missing.
You could probably say to him, he'd probably say to you, "Oh well, the first save from the header, because I think is it Sisa beats Varane, isn't it?"
Yeah, and it's just that
the first save is. Yeah, it's a bit like he'd be like, "Oh, I could have done better there." I bet he'd say that. But the second one is just primed it here, and it's good to see so far. I wouldn't say, if Henderson came back, I'd be like, "No, you can stay up. Let Dave build on this." I think he can. Well, I hope he can get back to his best. I hope that's the case with him, especially after the fallout of the final Europa League final last season.
De Gea doesn't need to get back to his best. He just needs to get back to a level where he's consistent. Because
he'll definitely, he'll definitely feel better with Varane in there as well. I think we will.
You have to, yeah.
I think once you sort the midfield out, I think we'll be a lot more secure. But like I said, he's given us a lot to be grateful for these past 4 games. So happy with that. And obviously happy with the win. So delighted. I think I was screaming, absolutely screaming. I think I launched my kid's favorite toy out the window, and I didn't mean to throw it out the window. I was just throwing it at the nearest wall, but it ended up outside on the lawn.
Wow.
Yeah. But
It's a great way to go into the international break, I think.
Internationals. Yeah. Yeah, very happy. Like you said, it is kind of the opposite to Chelsea in a way. Somehow came away with that win. Somehow Chelsea dug in, but very promising.
Yeah, I think all four teams, and obviously we're saying this quite early, and what we will do over the international break is probably review teams' chances once we know who's coming in. I don't think there's anyone coming in for City. I think, to be fair, that won't change much in terms of predictions where City will be. But signings that you've made, could it be other signings coming into like Liverpool? They've got to be looking at some players, haven't they? I think. So we'll be able to get a better idea coming out of the international break. But everyone still looks pretty strong. No one's had a disaster performance. The biggest one is probably the Southampton one, right, for you, and that's been immediately remedied right in time, just before it sits there and stays a problem. It's just been nope. We're stuck in there against Wolves. Really good performance in the end to do that without any real quality or creativity in the middle. To get through and get 3 points. Yeah, everyone's happy with that.
Exactly, apart from us. But
they were never predicted. They're just in an entirely worse position. And do you know? Did we discuss? Was it last week or the week before where we discussed who might be the biggest overachiever and biggest underachiever? And you said don't say Arsenal, but I had to say Arsenal because they're currently rock bottom. They're 20th, and they play 19th place Norwich as the first game after the international break. And we joked about it being a 6-pointer, but it is genuinely a 6-pointer. They've both conceded. They've both got a goal difference of -9, no points. Arsenal haven't scored a goal. Norwich have scored 1 goal.
Yeah, against Leicester, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's Pookie.
That's look, it's 3 games, and we discussed it before that he's got 6 games there that he should be getting some points on the table and moving up, but that's so ominous for that club. Oh, Ty. What did you do? Put a jinx on the club.
Just what the fuck did you do?
Shouldn't have been talking shit. Shouldn't have said anything. Honestly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to get into?
That's pretty much it. Apart from Lionel Messi made his debut tonight for PSG, and it was really underwhelming.
Well, him or PSG?
No, he was fine. All his touches were great, but that team caused themselves so many problems, and were it not for a marginal offside, it would be 1-1, and Lionel Messi would have to come on and save the day. And he must have been like at that point when it went 1-1 and then VAR ruled the goal offside.
Right.
If you're Lionel Messi, you're thinking, I've traded problems at Barca for problems at PSG. Just more of the same. But Mbappe managed to score. Really good counter led by Hakimi. Yeah, standard win for what you would expect to just be like domination and goals. So look, you've got to give them the customary 8 to 10 matches for all them attacking players to bed in and the Mbappe thing to sort itself out or whatever's going to happen. If he stays, Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, Di Maria is a terrifying front line, possibly the best front line ever on paper. So yeah, looks like I'll be watching the French league whenever PSG play this season because I kind of want to watch Messi just do absolute bits in the front in Ligue 1.
Yeah, whereas you can watch Cristiano in the Premier League.
I don't want to watch him in the Premier League. Should have come to City. No, we discussed this before, and I'm very glad. Obviously, it's not confirmed yet, but it pretty much is, it would have destroyed the fairy tale that Ronaldo and United kind of is if he'd come to City. And whilst I don't think, like, if you weren't in for him and it was just us and PSG, I'd like to think that United fans wouldn't blame Ronaldo. They can blame City. I've got the club, that's fine. I'd like to think they wouldn't blame Ronaldo because of what he did for them. But as soon as United came in for him, it was no choice, was it? Really, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm relieved. It was an emotional fucking roller coaster. Put it that way. Friday.
Do you have any concerns that he won't be able to deliver?
No, I have no concerns about the goals because he will score goals. He probably won't. I'm not saying he'll score 30, but if he scores 15 to 20,
it's got 40 for us. 40 tap-ins.
Yeah, but you're more of a balanced team, so you get it. But
true.
If we can find our rhythm, and like I said, I kind of want the midfield to sort itself out.
Can Ronaldo play CDM?
I mean, maybe he's a big lad.
A big dominating Fellaini style force.
But all we get then is like 80-yard fucking pot shots.
Oh my god, you would, yeah.
From CDM. But no, I'm absolutely
Adams. Do you remember that goal?
I'm very relieved. Oh god, yeah, against Chelsea.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sure it's against Czech.
Speaking of Czech and good goals, Papis Cisse. Oh, tasty. But yeah, Ronaldo, amazing, great story, and I hope that whilst he doesn't lead you to a title, I don't think I want him to lead you to 21. You know, you can have second. Good little season.
Piss off. You can't. Like, how greedy do you? How many fucking trophies do you want? Okay, that's my ass. Come on, it's been 9 years.
I don't want. I don't need the quad.
Tell you what, you can have Champions League if we have Premier League. Would you be happy with
that? I don't think that we will face you in the Champions League, so I don't think you have that to offer us.
No, I'm not saying you'd play United, but I'm just saying if United won the Premier League and you'd won the Champions League, would you be happy?
No, I'm putting a question mark on your status as a European powerhouse in the context of football matches and saying that you can't offer us the Champions League. You can offer us the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. You might do all right in them, but no, I think would I be happy coming second and winning the Champions League if you won the league? That's the question.
No, yeah, okay, no, you don't say United have to win the league, but say if you came second and you won Champions League, you're fine with that.
No, it depends who we come second to. No, if we come second to Liverpool, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would take getting smashed by Club Brugge in the group stages over Liverpool winning the Premier League in a season where there isn't some COVID nonsense around and putting a big fat asterisk on your title win. No, I'm not all right with that. You guys winning and us coming second. But us getting the Champions League. Because I'm just thinking of the different permutations who I'm okay with. Okay. I don't think I'd be okay if Chelsea won the... Actually, you know what? Chelsea winning the league and us winning the Champions League would be kind of poetic, wouldn't it? That's what I mean. It'd be kind of poetic. So, and then you can win the FA Cup. You can be Leicester. Yeah, I'd be all right with that. I'd be all right with that. And then the season after, quad. Yeah.
Quad
on.
Okay.
Pep's last season.
Maybe he did dispel those. He said he was misquoted, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he said it could be like 5 years. So
I think it depends on what he wins.
Still no dynasty though. It's no 20-year dynasty, isn't it? Right.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just saying. How long has he been at now?
This is his sixth season. Yeah.
So 15 years. 15 years of Pep.
Oh my God.
Imagine. It's just, I don't think that's in.
That's not a dynasty is like 5 years, I think. 15 is like an era. An era.
All right. An era of Pep.
Yeah. I think if Pep stayed 15 years, he beats Fergie's records.
We'll see. But
how many titles did Fergie win for you?
13.
So if he stays 15, no, he doesn't win. No, he don't win 13 titles in 15 years. Well, could, but he's already lost 2, so he'd have to win every one now until he left for the next 9 years.
Let's say
that is not happening.
Let's say Pep left then in 2 years. Who kind of comes in?
So in the next season,
who's out there?
It's tough, isn't it? Because I think now that Pep's been to the club, I think it changes not who you can get, but who potentially I think the club would want. I think we quite like the idea of creating teams where the manager's there for a while. Pellegrini was there for 4 years. 4 years.
Nagelsmann maybe? He's sick of Bayern.
I would love. I mean, that's the problem is Nagelsmann at Bayern. I think most Germans coaches, where do you go from there? Do you go to Madrid? I think that's a more attractive kind of move for them.
But who else? Pochettino.
If it lines up with him leaving PSG, yeah.
Mourinho.
He'd actually win a title. He'd win. Sorry, he'd win a trophy each season.
He wouldn't get invited to interview me.
But I don't think he'd get. I don't think that he would get a league title. Not with the quality of the Prem now. Because I don't see this. This is the difficult thing. So I think if Pep leaves after next season, and let's say we win 2 titles or a title in that time and a couple of cups, whether it's Champions League or not, I think, let's say he goes, there's only really a very small pool of managers that you can go for, and I don't know if Poch is in that top level, where Klopp is, where Tuchel is, where Pep is now. What I've seen of Nagelsmann is really good. I just haven't seen enough to really put him in a conversation with those 3. Ancelotti historically in that conversation. Who is the next kind of group of managers? Because your 2 options are, you either go one of the best managers in the world, like a Conte. I think he's in that conversation as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Or you go for a club legend. Well, Vinny Kompany ain't going to be doing much managerially for 2 years. Like, come on, So it's really, really difficult. Because I think Vieira, for example, is more likely. I'd take it. No, I wouldn't take it. He's not good enough. Obviously, Tuchel's shown that there's a serious difference in class of tactician there. With pretty much the same team and picking up straight away. I remember watching the first game with Tuchel and just thinking, whilst the play wasn't that incisive, the movement and the way they were trying to play was just a cut above how they were trying under Lampard. And it took him 3 days to get him playing like that. So, you can tell the quality straight away and difference. That's such a tough question. Because, you either go top tier manager or you go someone that's like affiliated with the club. I don't like the idea of going someone affiliated with the club just for the sake of it. I don't know if there is anyone really. What's Sean Wright Phillips doing? Has he ever managed anyone? It'd be like getting Gary Neville for you.
No.
Exactly. So
yes,
that's a really tough one. I think it'd have to be Brendan. No, I like Brendan Rodgers, but I won't be happy with him as my manager. Not since because he was at Liverpool and did well there. Yeah, no, I wouldn't like that. Yeah. So I genuinely don't know. That's really, really tough. Because who would you look at? Because I know that there's this flirtation with Poch from your perspective, but if Ollie got sacked today, for example, and you could have anyone in the world, who do you take?
Oh, if I could choose.
Pick any manager, yeah. I mean, Pep or Klopp or Tuchel's a bit of a cop-out, but, you know, if you want to pick them, you can pick them. But realistically, anyone else?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? I'd probably say...
Graham Potter? Has he done enough to warrant a top job opportunity?
No, but I like him.
I do, and I think that there's a lot to see in the way that he gets Brighton playing football to like a lot. But you know, I liked Ian Holloway when he had Blackpool in the Premier League. You know, I didn't want him for his City job, and that was back then.
I'd say, it's a shame. It's a shame that Brendan is associated with Liverpool because he's a good manager.
Very good coach.
I like the way Leicester play. They're a different animal with him.
And the way Liverpool played under him, and the way Swansea played under him as well. To be fair, you know, I've always enjoyed watching his teams play.
Yeah. Probably. I think you go Nagelsmann or Poch with us. I think those would be the two.
Simeone?
No, don't like that. No, like Conte, but I don't think he's the best fit for the way we like to play. I think he is someone that Arsenal would look at and need to get a grip of themselves.
What, Conte?
Yeah, I think they need that kind of manager because
why would he go there?
Exactly, but
no, that's not the point you're making. But
money talks. But I think they need someone to get a grip. They're too soft. They've settled for mediocrity. They're fine with it.
Mate, they're settling for relegation at the moment, so it's even worse than mediocrity. It's all gone wrong. What about I mean, you wouldn't get him back, but do you think Moisey has done enough to kind of win his reputation back? Just on the discussion about current managers. Is it too soon to tell?
No, never even.
No, I don't mean for you to get him. That's what I mean. I don't expect you to take him, but he
feels for him to like take over back. A top club.
It feels like he's back at a level that he was at when he was at Everton.
I feel like he's getting. I feel like he's almost eclipsing that.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there could be some recency bias in there, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because it's just obviously I watched the Leicester West Ham game, and you saw the obviously post match, and he looked a different kind of coach. He looked really confident and happier in himself. It was nice to see because I've always liked David. I like David Moyes. That Everton side was really, really, really good side.
Yeah. What he's done with Antonio is quality as well. I think.
Yeah.
Who's their former player? Who's Moyes' assistant? Is it Kevin? What's his surname?
Nolan.
Is it no Kevin Nolan? What they're doing with Antonio? Because I remember Antonio on the wing. Right back. Yeah.
Right back. Yeah, absolutely.
and they brought in top goal scorer now.
I think so. Yeah. And he's such a genuinely like nice and fun person to watch and to listen to him talk as well. Really enjoyed his little interview at the end, and just how honest he is about like his goals he has for himself, and it was refreshing. You don't get that from many people. Let's compare that to, I know Aubameyang just got smashed 5-0, but that interview he gave was okay. I appreciate you going out and talking, but you know, do you talking on the pitch?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at managers now, and you know, there's Bielsa, Daesh. It's now it's on to Xavi. Hasenhüttl, Potter, Dean Smith. Dean Smith? It's weird. There's just this big drop from the top few coaches, and there's only about 10 top coaches in the world that, at that level, that they can really take over. If you could cherry pick, I mean, you could end up with any manager, really. If there's no manager available, you get what you can get. But,
yeah,
if you're talking Pep, Klopp, Zidane, Simeone,
God, that's
Conte,
easy.
Tuchel.
Pirlo, he's out of a job, isn't he? But yeah, Juventus were lambasted last season, weren't they? Under him.
Yeah. Oh, is Allegri's back there then, I assume? Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah. So, no, it's just really weird. I think that's what makes Poch such an obvious choice for people. Because it's almost a bit refreshing and he hasn't got all these, all the attachments that every other coach has got. Because Simeone, surely he just doesn't really leave Atletico.
No.
Why would? To. And the club has no reason to, yeah.
I don't think many clubs would want to implement that kind of play either. I mean, I can imagine like the Burnley board thinking, "Oh, if Sean decides to leave, we'll get a deal going."
Absolutely, swap deal with Simeone. Yeah, no, it would be. It would have to be a very specific type of team, wouldn't it? Already, I don't think you implement that change. But for Atletico, it absolutely works. I think he's brilliant. I have a real soft spot for Simeone when I watch Atletico play. Zidane, no, he wouldn't come to City or to. I mean, he could come to United, but would you want him?
He's one of those coaches, unfortunately for him, that you think you've inherited an absolutely incredible squad and had a relentless, not like an insane amount of money to throw at people. But for 4 Champions Leagues back to back to back.
4?
Well, no, he's won 4 in his career, wasn't it?
Yeah, but weren't there gaps?
I think weren't 2 back to back.
2, maybe 3 were back to back, and then I think there was a gap of the Messi, Neymar, Suarez, and I think they got another.
Yeah, but well, I mean, it's no mean feat, is it? Oh, I know it is mean feat.
Oh, it's incredible! It's absolutely incredible.
Because they were just, then again, they were like a different monster in the Champions League for those seasons. They'd underperform in the league still.
I think it's fair to say that the stars aligned.
Yeah.
But that he cultivated maybe a dressing room and just allowed them freedom to just to do their thing, and it worked. It absolutely worked. That starting 11. I think I could just probably name it offhand now, and that won all 3 of those. The first 3 were just incredible to a man. Like each one, absolutely phenomenal. I think the keeper changed maybe at some point because it was Navas for 2 definitely, and then I think someone else. But apart from that, the 10 outfield players were the same, weren't they?
Yeah.
So the stars aligned, but he, to do 3, come on,
No. But I think I'd like to see him play his trade somewhere else. I'm maybe judging a bit fairly then. But.
PSG, maybe.
Makes sense for him.
Frenchman, yeah.
Yeah.
Big job, big names. Sort of a similar situation.
Yeah.
Managing personalities is more than anything else, which I think could be Poch's undoing at PSG.
I could also see him at Juventus. I could go back there.
I think it's almost a step down though, Juventus. I think you've got to be Italian or have an attachment to the club if you're going back there now. It doesn't like Juventus when they signed Ronnie. It felt like they were just about to hit that next level, and get back to the top level of European football once again. Because obviously, I know last year they didn't win the Serie A, but I think they did the previous 9 or something like that.
Yeah, it was 9.
So pure domination in Italy, but never really translated it across to Europe in the last decade. And I thought the Ronaldo signing was going to do that. Just didn't. And he had personally really good seasons. I think he scored more than Lukaku last season in the league.
29 goals. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's putting the outputs there, but I don't know. Didn't really work out for him there. Does he win the year the Champions League?
Does he win us? No, we're not there yet.
Champions 2 years? Because do you think he'll be there for 2 years?
Yeah.
Not 3. It'll be 2, right?
I think the sensible one would be 2.
Yeah.
I think Mason will be 21, and hopefully, I think next year we'll be looking at signing Haaland. Fingers crossed. Well, we'll be in the mix for him anyway, but I think Mason will be. It'll be phenomenal in 2 years. 21, Jesus. And
like that goes on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say the thing that Ronaldo gives you as well is like he'll be working with those players and they'll be watching him every damn day.
That was going to be the point I thought was like missed by a lot of people. Maybe it's not been, but I haven't seen that touted as the most important thing, because that is more important than I think the effect he'll have on the pitch. Yes, it'll raise the locker room so the team will perform better on the pitch. I just mean his direct impact on the pitch. That'll be great. But what he really does to the club is go, one of the best footballers of all time has come back to the club. It's not like he's doing it as, I mean, it is sort of his swan song, but he's not on the decline. He's been at this level now for about 5 years. There was a decline a bit ago, when the pace first went and he moved into a more central position, the striker option.
Yeah.
But I don't really see, since he's moved to being the striker, I haven't seen much of a decline. I still think he's fantastic. One of the best still. But yeah, the training sessions. Mason Greenwood, 2 years with Ronaldo.
I think it'll give Rashford a reality check as well. Because I don't include Martial in it, because I don't think Martial will be at the club much longer.
No,
but Rashi, he modeled himself on Cristiano, and I'm one of those fans who think Rashford has been poor for a long time now. Obviously, he might have been afflicted by injury, well, he clearly has been, but I don't use it as an excuse for him too much. But what Rashford can learn from his idol, I'm excited to see as well. But obviously, I think Mason is the future of Manchester United. And Rashford is, but Mason's
it's a slightly different discussion. But Foden was talking about the time he got to spend with David in that crossover period of time, who is his idol. And I think that just gives you such a boost, doesn't it, as a player, like your projection. And I think Mason has absolutely stolen the limelight from Rashford tail end of last year and now the start of this year. I think he's kind of taken that trajectory as like, well, I'm the next big thing here.
Well, mate, honestly, when Mason came through into the first team, Solskjaer was like, yeah, he's the best finisher at the club. Like, he just broken through.
I think he's one of the best finishers in the league.
Yeah,
how cleanly he strikes it, and the accuracy is deadly.
And he's 2-footed as well.
Yeah, like Granit Xhaka.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's quite exciting. There's still a couple of positions, and it's something we can get into when we do the Man United breakdown next week. Because for anyone listening, during the international break, because we don't really care about international breaks, what we'll actually be doing is doing a Man United deep dive, kind of projections for the season, discussing the players in a bit more depth, like what we think, basically. And then the second one we'll do City, and then we'll probably do a transfer roundup when the window closes, and maybe revisit our table predictions with a bit more knowledge in the bank. Because I'll just quickly before we fully wrap this up, I'll just tell you some of the more ridiculous predictions that I made. I did the full league table. I know we didn't discuss it on air, but there was a couple in there that I'm looking at now and thinking, oh dear. So West Ham 9th. That seems unfair now. That seems too low.
Yeah, I'm surprised you went like that low.
I think I got sold on name value for a couple of people. Wolves, Wolves will be all right, but I think 12th would be a decent finish if they carry on the way they're going. I think it'll take a bit before it clicks, and then it might be too late to start really cementing a top 10 finish. Arsenal in 11th, way off.
Yeah, that's far too high.
Far too high. Brentford, bottom. Well, I know it's only 3 games, but they're 10th. So, Brighton as well. I mean, we'll know far more after 10 games, and we'll know far more even from now to the end of the transfer window, because I think there will be some action. There's a couple of clubs that really do need just one more signing, just another person in a specific area to really push on to hit what their targets are. I don't think we'll get any more business from City. Chelsea just need another midfielder, but they don't need another midfielder, but I'm pretty sure they're going to go for one. You need a CDM, but I don't think that's got to be you done, right?
I think it's dependent on players going out.
Okay.
I think Lingard might leave.
Fingers
I've
crossed.
still got a feeling he might leave. I still got a feeling Donny might leave. But we'll see.
For himself.
Well, Van Gaal didn't pick him and said, "Well, you got to play." Van Gaal's got a chip on his shoulder about United anyway, but I agree with him. I think he does need to leave.
Yeah.
Even on loan, I think there's talk of Dan James going on loan as well, which I'm not too happy about.
He can go as well. If I'm a United fan, I'm thinking Dan James off you pop. Trincao in.
I think that's harsh. Trincao in.
Loan on a loan. Loan from the loan club. Yeah, I think you just need a midfielder. Liverpool, I still think they need another attacking option. Mbappe doesn't seem happy at PSG, and Liverpool have been on about Mbappe for a long time, haven't they? I think they said they were signing him about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
Funny how it works out, eh? Yeah, I think just in all seriousness, I think all they really need is one more attacking option, and they're fine. Again, same as with Chelsea, they don't need that extra player, but it would help. They don't need that extra player like I think you do, that midfielder. I think that is a massive, massive thing for you. If you can get the right man into that midfield, look, I think you're going to be really up there at most of the season. But that's your weak spot, isn't it, as we've discussed? Whereas I don't think Chelsea, City, and even Liverpool, their starting 11 doesn't have that weak spot. Just a bit of depth for Liverpool.
It'll say a lot for us if we don't sign anyone. I honestly think we're waiting for Rice. I think that's the plan next year. But
can't fault you.
Yeah, it's just expensive at the moment. We'll see.
I think because just to quickly touch on the Kane lack of anything. I'm glad that we didn't sign him.
Really?
And
for the money quoted?
In a way, for the money quoted. And I think it's a short-sighted move. I don't think Harry Kane is going to be at this level. He's got injury problems. Picks up an injury every year, doesn't he? And whilst he guarantees you goals in the short term, I think that you would stunt Jesus and Torres drastically. So Jesus would have to leave. Torres would have to be Kane's understudy. And I actually think Torres is ready to be that person in leading the line with the way we play and as a continuation from last season. So, look, would I rather a matchday lineup feature Kane up top for us? Yeah. But it's a different conversation if it's like 60, 70, 80, 90 mil. When you're talking potentially 150, 160, it just starts getting to a point where, you know my standpoint on City spending crazy money. I understand it to a point, but you use it to get you to a level, and then you make it sustainable. Like the Mahrez deal, like the Diaz deal, that is, adding quality throughout. I don't want to just blast 250 mil on 2 players in one summer. Come on. There's no need. We've got such good quality at the club, and you can be more shrewd than that.
Yeah, I think it's quite. I'm surprised at Levy's resilience, because he usually does give in, and any player that you've offered them would probably walk into their team. And just on the back of
reluctantly,
yeah, on the back of Saturday's game against Arsenal, I think Laporte's trying out for that number 9 spot. I'm sure he had like 12 shots
in the second half. He was just in there constantly. Well, we had 25 shots all game, so he could easily have had. He had a fair few efforts and scored a good goal last week against Norwich. So.
I think he even attempted a scorpion. Maybe it might have deceived me.
He tried some kind of R2 volley, didn't he? L2 volley. Yeah.
I am surprised that 120 million didn't do it for him, because I think that's more than fair enough for Kane, and then you can invest a hell of a lot of money into the transfer market then. Like I said, I thought Son was good enough to lead, and he's clearly doing it by himself this season. So, I'm surprised. I'm glad in a way, but I think there's a little dig by Pep, wasn't there? I think he said, not necessarily it's Kane, but he said, I hope he enjoys the best years of his career in London. And I thought, oh, that sounds so sad.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's more the reality that I don't think he gets another offer for a big move unless he has an outstanding season.
Yeah, wouldn't you be so deflated though? That would make it, if you were Harry Kane here and now, you think
dropped to 6.9 today, according to the app I use. Apparently had quite a poor game. What weight you can put on that, because it also had Bernardo as a 6.9. So.
Oh wow! Really? Jesus Christ!
Yeah, and I thought he was everywhere. Yes, he didn't have a direct involvement on a goal, but that is neither here nor there really. If it's a really energetic and progressive performance that contributes to like how you build your play. But no, it had Kane as a 6.7, I think it was, maybe 6.7, and then Bernardo 6.9. I think that's what it was actually. I think Spurs and Kane and City have all kind of lost from this deal. And whilst I respect what Levy's done, because he will see that side and think, how do I rebuild it without Harry Kane? Because the money's maybe not enough. Not that the money's not enough for Kane, but the money, you can't replace Kane. Aston Villa, for example, with 100 mil, okay, they can't replace Grealish with one player, but they can probably replace his goal contributions with 3 and still have some money left. The 3 that they've brought in, Bailey, Ings and Buendia, those 3, I think surely between the 3 will get the same amount of goals. Now, you'd expect them to get a bit more, and then they will progress. And in that team, in that Villa side, they'll do well. So it worked for them. I don't know if Spurs, probably because they've got more problems, I don't know if you can rebuild that side with 120 mil to replace Kane's output. What was it? 21 goals, 17 assists? Is that right?
I think it was 22 goals.
So in that ballpark, in that area.
But
And I don't think Son on his own gets those figures that he got last season. So let's say he's worth 40 goals contributed.
Yeah.
Who the hell are they signing for 120 mil to replace 40?
Yeah, I mean, it is a step back. If Kane leaves Spurs, it's like 3 steps back from. There's no one of that ilk out there that they could sign to plug that gap. And no offense to him, but I don't think anyone, if that quality that you need, I don't think Spurs are a big enough draw, especially since they're not in Champions League. So, yeah. With the seeing them top of the table, I'm just like, it is one of those things where you're like, well, listen,
No.
that's gonna fall off. So,
Look, I'm just looking at who they could have signed. So they've signed Christian Romero and Brian Gill, who I actually think will be okay. They'll be okay signings. So they'd spent 67 mil, 68 mil off the bat, right? So you get 120 mil for Kane, and I'm just looking at some of the other players that have moved this summer in the Premier League. The players they could potentially get, like if they'd bought Bailey for 25 mil, that's a steal, by the way. That's a steal, I think, for what his projection is. He'd improve them. You know, that'd be a really good option. Not right away though. You know, Patson Daka looks like he's going to be good for Leicester, but again, it's not someone that you expect to hit the ground running straight away. I'm just looking at all the players that have kind of moved around in the Premier League, and I don't think many of them are going to change them too much. Look, I think if Spurs could have got Daniel Marlon, a player like that might help. I think Dortmund have replaced Haaland already really, really well with Daniel Marlon. I honestly rate that guy so highly. But yeah, genuinely, I can't see many players that have moved that would help them, or even players in the Premier League that I think could go there. Let's say you talk about a swap deal or something. Let's say Bernardo and Jesus go there. They don't replace Kane's goals. They just don't. So,
I think, oh god, I'm just wondering. I'm just picturing those conversations. Be like, Bernardo, Gabriel, would you be open to going to Spurs?
just walk out, wouldn't you? You can chuck Laporte in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the players that potentially wanted to leave. You could put them three in there, and Spurs still don't really. Okay, maybe they flirt with fourth. They still finish sixth. You know, so yeah, it's a real tough time for Spurs. I suppose the silver lining is just they've kept Kane and Son, so there'll be games where, you know, they'll be even though at the end of the season they will finish without winning anything. There'll be moments along the way that will maybe be worth it for the fans to have Kane still there. But he needs to have a season above what he normally does, just to counteract his age and the price that Levy'll still ask for. Well, he's signing a new contract, isn't he, apparently? Which you've got to assume will have a release clause in it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But maybe a release clause that no one will meet. Still demand over 100 million.
I think if it's 120 million, I don't think anyone bid. I don't think we bid 120 million for Kane next summer. I
don't think anyone does.
Because what will be 29?
Yeah.
And even if you got 3 good seasons out of him, I don't know if that. You know, I feel for the guy. I really feel for the guy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think there's any winners there. Apart from Tottenham fans, maybe.
Yeah, just for moments, which is good. But when you weigh it up against Kane, you know, at most winning a cup in his entire career, like that's pretty sad for the guy.
Yeah, because then even Shearer's laughing at him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if let's say that they won that final against Liverpool, I think he doesn't leave. You know, there isn't a conversation around him leaving. And I think Poch would have stayed, which would have helped massively, because the Mourinho years probably they had to be the biggest catalyst for Kane wanting to leave, because they didn't look like they were going anywhere.
No, they blew hot and cold, didn't they? They were more inconsistent than us, I think.
Yeah, it was piss poor.
Under Mourinho, for me. But yeah, all or nothing. Nothing. And then, but I will be looking forward to this episode on All or Nothing Arsenal next year.
Oh, mate, we'll absolutely do a podcast on that. We'll cover that. Don't you worry. Probably in a few parters, just because there'll be so much to unpack and laugh at.
Oh my God.
Mostly us laughing. Maybe we do a watch along. Maybe we watch it when it first comes out and do a live stream watch along for pure bants.
Yeah.
I think that's everything, isn't it? There's obviously a bit of admin to go through, where in the description we will make sure we put all the links to different City United things. I will absolutely set up a Twitter at some point. And those handles will be in there to kind of have a bit of conversation back and forth. That's the admin, right? Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to hear us talk about football every week.
I mean, we're going to anyway, so
yeah.
But please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Please.
It gives us some kind of validation in our lives. So yeah, all the links below. Pretty fun, really fun weekend to sign off into. Obviously, a drab 2 weeks where nothing will happen in the footballing world. I think all the big signings are done. I think the games, there's no one in the England squad, for example, that I'll look at and think, oh, I won't mind watching them and seeing how they do. I don't care. So,
no, I agree.
2 weeks break. Maybe I'll watch the 2011-12 season again.
I'll skip that one, but sure, you go ahead.
No, you watch 2012-13 season and we'll compare notes.
Okay. I can live with that.
And then I'll do the sorry, I was literally just going to start listing years afterwards, but I don't want to do you dirty like that.
It's fine.
Oh, good times. But yeah, enjoyed this week.
Yeah, and it was a fair assessment of Arsenal. You didn't go off on one because you were playing them.
Didn't need to. The team did it for me this week.
No 10-minute tangent at the end.
No, because I like to think now that everything I said has absolutely come true, but that we're about to hit a second assessment period of time for Arsenal. And I'm just going to get my predictions in now. Arsenal don't get 10 points from those 6 games, which I think is the minimum for Arteta. Just looking at where other teams are, and you've got to get that platform. You've got to get that going now. You've got to get some points there. I don't even think 10 points would get them into the top half of the table. After another 6, I don't think it would. But it would put them in a position to start climbing. I think they'll beat Norwich, but I think they'll struggle. Who else did I say? Just to do my...
Ryan Villa.
So then it's Burnley first. Sorry, it's Norwich. I think they win that, but struggle. Burnley, I think they'd be good. I think they'd be lucky to get a draw. I think Chris Wood will cause their centre halves problems. Spurs beat them. Brighton probably beat them. Really? Palace are an unknown commodity to me anyway, and I think to a lot of people because of just Vieira's changing the philosophy there. And then Villa, who will cause them serious problems. So I think he's sacked by October. And then it goes back to the conversation we had before, when we were going through the managers. Who the hell goes there and fixes them? Obviously, you mentioned Conte, and if they had the cash to persuade him, that would be massive. I just don't see why he ruins his reputation by going to an Arsenal. It genuinely would ruin your reputation going there, because what can you do? The best you can do with that side is, get them into a respectable 7th position. Anyone that discusses Arsenal in terms of top 4 is absolutely deluded. Some people still do, because it's only 3 games in and this and that, and that is a fair comment because you wouldn't expect them to beat City or Chelsea either. So really, they're only 3 points down from where they might have expected to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you look at Wolves, like they're both on 0 points. Arsenal Wolves, and I know, but everyone knows who's finishing higher.
Wolves look way more exciting than Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Way more exciting. I think we've watched all the 3 Arsenal games, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and I think people were saying it's quite reactionary. Some of the, not to us, but some of the comments that we made in the first episode, people have been quite critical of those points against Arsenal because it's it's match 1 and blah, blah, blah. But as we discussed before, this is not just this season. This is a decade of this, and it's going to keep going on until they get someone to organise that team. That's the first thing they need to do: just organise and be difficult to play against because they're so easy and so fun to play against. Genuinely,
Yeah.
There was so much space everywhere across the park. They don't know what they're doing. So it's going to be a rough ride for Arsenal fans this season, and I am absolutely here for it. But yeah, we should probably call it quits on discussing the cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, episode 3. I think that's a wrap.
In the bank, baby.
Like and subscribe.
Peace.